Today, we're going to talk about the real reason why you didn't get the job after the interview. So, you got the interview with this company that you really wanted to work with. You thought it was a good interview. It was pleasant to meet the HR person. Maybe it lasted for 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Maybe it lasts for an hour. I don't know. But you felt good about it. And you waited a week later, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, and you never heard anything back from the HR professional at this company that you had to interview. What really happened? What really goes on after you get interviewed by most of these companies? This is a question that I got last week from somebody. And I can relate to this. This happened to me quite a few times until I figured it out through trials and tribulations. What really goes on, what really happens. So let's put things into perspective, shall we? Now, there's a long list of reasons why people don't get picked for these jobs. We already know they discriminate. They discriminate for anything. Because you're fat, you're black, you're white, they don't like your hair, they don't like how you smell, they don't like how you look. Man, I can go on and on and on and on. They hardly, and PS, by the way, they hardly ever discriminate on white people, by the way. Unless the white person wasn't dressed well or didn't smell good or something like that. But for the most part, nobody usually discriminates against white people. As a matter of fact, if I go in there for an interview, and if the white person goes in there for an interview, and if it's me versus the white person is going to get the job. We already know how the math plays out. I'm not going to even get into that. This is not a debate. That's usually how the math plays out. And that's how it is, right? So we already know. So let's start from the beginning. When a recruiter calls you on the phone, and P.S. by the way, the person that calls you on the phone, there's a 99% chance they're a recruiter. Now, they might tell you that, hey, I'm such and such, and I'm representing this company. They're not going to necessarily tell you they're a recruiter most of the time. They might say, I'm representing such and such company, whatever. So in your mind, you might be thinking, hey, this is a person that works for the company. No, they're a contractor. That's all a recruiter is. A recruiter is somebody that looks for talent, but they don't necessarily work within the company. They work outside of the company, and they get paid based on the amount of talent that they bring in. That's what it is. The recruiter is like a middle person between you and the company. That's all they are. But they're looking out for the company. They're not trying to look out for you. So let's just keep that in mind. So when this person calls you on the phone and says, hey, they'll email you, say, hey, you got 15 minutes to get on the phone? And you say, yeah, sure. What's a good time? Tuesday at 3:00, whatever, right? Or the next day, whatever. It doesn't matter the time. So you get them so they'll get you on the phone for 15 minutes, and they'll ask you some questions. Hey, when the last time you worked, or tell me your experience with this position. Why do you think you'd be a good fit for this position? And whoop-de-do, right? Now, when they get you on the phone, the purpose of the phone conversation is to see how you speak and how you answer the questions and how you think. That's really it. The purpose is not to, it has very little to do with the job position. I'll say that, right? It's not because they like your education and your experience. No, not at all. They just want to get you on the phone to see how you speak, how you talk, how you think. That's it. Because they already have an idea of the environment, the people that's already working within that company. And these recruiters have a relationship with these hiring managers of these companies, or the HR person that's doing the hiring at these companies as well. So they have a list of people. So the recruiter is basically just they're just calling people that's on their list that they pulled from these resume websites like Indeed.com, Simply, Red.com. They're just pulling names, right, of the best resumes they could find, basically, at any given time. So they have a long list and they have a short list. If you're on the short list, you're gonna get a phone call from them. If you miss a phone call, or you just miss out on your opportunity, they'll just move on to the next person. It's a numbers game. That's how it is, So once they get you on the phone and they like what you have to say, you're on another short list, right? So it's like they're gonna be down to to try to get that list down to like 5 people, and those 5 people gonna get an interview, and the recruiter's gonna set them up to be interviewed by some HR person, and eventually they'll meet the manager who you'll be working with if you get the job. So once you get the interview, that's the person that's going to hire you 9 times out of 10. Or sometimes the HR person could be a manager/manager. It could be. Sometimes I've seen it like that. But most of the time it's an HR person, and you're going to have to meet the manager who you're going to be working underneath. So if the HR person likes you, they're going to set up a day and time for you to meet the manager. Or I've seen this happen too. Or they'll call the manager in there. I've seen that happen. So once the HR person's done talking to you during the interview, I've had experiences where the HR person said, "Hey, I want to introduce you to the manager." So the manager came in there, introduced him or herself to me, and we had our own conversation. I've seen that happen as well. Now, if the HR person says, "I have to reschedule you to have another interview with a manager," most of the time it's a lie. Most of the time it's a lie. It's probably a 50-50 chance that he or she, the HR personnel that's interviewing you, they're being dishonest. There's something about you that they don't like, and you don't know what that could be anything. Like I said, it could be because you're short, you're fat, you're black, they don't like your hair, they don't like how you smell, they don't like how you dress. It could be anything. It could be personality based. They don't like how you talk. It could be anything. I mean, when I say it could be anything, I mean anything. There's no perfect person that they're really looking for. They're just looking for a person that they feel comfortable with being around. That's what it really boils down to at the end of the day. It ain't got nothing to do with your resume. Look, most of the job descriptions that they have listed, they already know most of the people ain't going to have all the experience that comes with everything that they have listed. They already know that the person that they going to hire, if they know 50% of it, they'd be happy with that. So we already know that they're going to have to do some type of training. They're going to have to show you how to do some of what they want. They already know that. They're not looking for somebody to have all this experience and that's an expert in everything. That's almost impossible. So whenever somebody says, hey, you don't have enough experience, they're lying to you. They're not being honest. And there's a lot of lies being told out here when it comes to that. The reason why you didn't get the job because you didn't have enough experience or you didn't have enough education. Those are lies. Most of the time, people get hired based on their personality or something like that. Now, your education, your experience might grab people's attention, but that's not really why they hired you. They hired you for your personality and they just like you for whatever reason, and they'll fire you for your attitude. So that's usually how it goes, you know? So if you don't get a call back after the interview, it's something about you that they didn't like. And we don't really know specifically what that could be. Even if it's been times where I actually sent the HR personnel an email and asked them what happened, why that didn't get picked. And based on the response, I felt like they were lying. And sometimes I would not get no response back, by the way. I didn't always get a response back. There's been times where I didn't get no response back. So you never really know why in most cases. You can just take what they say with a grain of salt. That's what I do. I just move on. And I'm a type of person that I'm not going to be sitting around waiting on a response back from anybody after 2 weeks. I'm just move on to the next opportunity or the next new thing. That's just me, you know. So I look at it like this: if the recruiters are playing it like it's a numbers game, I'm gonna play it like it's a numbers game too. Which is the reason why I don't sit around waiting after 2 weeks. I'm moving on to the next new opportunity, next job opportunity, whatever. You know, I'm campaigning for the next new job. If that's what it's going to be, if it's going to be a numbers game, you know, because it's a very competitive market out here today. Now there's some people that say, well, a lot of these jobs are open and not being filled, but even if that's true, they're not doing the hiring as fast as it used to be. So, and they're not posting these jobs. Most of these jobs are not being posted. So how will we even know if that's even true or not? So again, this goes back to what I said. I take what they say with a grain of salt. You know, I take what they say with a grain of salt. You know, until proven otherwise, differently. Unless I get a phone call or something like that. Otherwise, I'll move on to the next new opportunity. So whenever you have an interview and, you know, you don't get no response back, 9 times out of 10, it was something they didn't like about you. You know, and if they say, hey, I want to introduce you to the manager you're going to be working with. You know, and you can kind of tell if the manager likes you too. If the manager doesn't like you, you're not getting the job. Forget about it. You can forget about it. Because the HR person liking you is one thing. You know, but all they're going to do is hire you. They're not going to be working with you every day directly. You know, because once the HR person hires you, that's pretty much it. You might not ever see them again if you work in a big company, right? But the manager is going to be seeing you weekly, probably almost every day. depending on what size the company is, right? So, you know, so if he or she doesn't like you, forget about it. You're not getting the job. You know, it's like a split decision. The HR person might like you, but the manager don't like you. And if the HR person didn't like you in some type of way, you probably wouldn't have got an interview in the first place. So obviously it was something that they liked about you once the recruiter sent your resume to them. But ultimately, if the HR person likes you and the manager likes you, there's a good chance you're gonna be in a good position to get the job. That's usually how that go, you know. And I usually ask them I asked them how many positions they have available for this position and how many people they have left. Most of the time, they usually tell you, though, how many people they have left, you know? And I'll be like, okay, if it's 10 people, 20 people, I'm like, what's the odds of me getting picked out of 20 people? I mean, what's the odds of you getting picked out of 5 people? Right, less is better. You know, these are just the numbers. Less is probably going to be better for you or me, right? But if it's 20 people, the percentages ain't that great, you know? So you got to kind of say or do something to put yourself, to try to stick out in some type of way in situations like that, you know? And there's been times where I remember I had an interview one time, and the manager took me around the whole building, showing me the environment and all the departments and everything or whatever. And I thought I was going to get that job. I didn't, you know. Now, this happened after I kind of picked up on, see, the HR person liked me, but the manager didn't. And so I was kind of thrown off. Why, if you don't like me, why would you take me around the office and there's 3 levels now. Why would you take me around, introducing me to people like that or whatever? And I figured out that, and somebody told me this too. Somebody put me on this. They said he wanted to introduce you to people to see how they would respond and react to you. That's what that was all about. That's what it was really all about. Now, I didn't notice at the time, but because to me, that didn't make any sense. If you don't like me, why show me around? You know, because I knew something was going on, because him and the HR personnel went into another room and had another discussion and left me in the office by myself for like 10 minutes. So I'm like, this can't be good. I'm in here for 20 minutes and they're in the next room having another conversation, and I can hear what they're saying, and it doesn't sound good. So that's why so when they came back in, I could pick up the vibe, like, yeah, this ain't a go. All right, this ain't a green light here. And then after that, he was like, hey, let me show you around. So either that was for show, or like my friend said, he just wanted to see how people would respond and react to you in the other departments. Maybe so, you know. But take what they say with a grain of salt. I don't get too attached or get my hopes up after I have any interview. You know, all you can do is your best, do the best you can. But it only takes one person to find something that they don't like about you. You're not getting the job. And that's usually how that is. Especially if you have a round table of people. Because some of these places you might have 2-3 interviews, and the last interview or the second or third interview, you might have 3 or 4 people at the table giving you an interview, asking you questions. And that can be a little uncomfortable. I've had those where it's 3 people at the table asking me questions. Different, all about different things, different scenarios too. You know. And if they don't like how you respond, you're probably not gonna get the job. You know? Or and check, let me tell you what else is funny. Sometimes you can know too much. And they won't like that either. And you won't get the job. So yeah, I said it. If you know too much, that can be used against you. Yeah, that happens too. So these are just some reasons why you didn't get the job after an interview. Like, share this video. Hopefully this helps you bring some type of clarity when it comes to you getting interviews at a lot of these jobs. Like and share this once again. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.